Well, good morning and welcome again to River Valley Farm. We're still messing with this thing. Oh. It was a long day yesterday and I'm getting a late start this morning. It's like 10 o'clock now or something. But anyway, we still got to put our valve train the rest of the way together and what have you. If I can get this camera to flip around, which it doesn't want to do, well, it falls and start over. So here we have a rocker arm assembly for it. Push rods and a vat of and a tub of diesel fuel. Anyway, we'll get this cleaned up and stick it in there and get it ready to go. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a bit. Alright, so we've got our push rods cleaned up. I'll show you the finished product on this here in a bit, but anyway, so we've got our push rods in, cleaned up, all that good stuff. And then we have this little gadget right here, which is an adjuster. And it's in here, sits underneath the backside of the rocker arm for the intake valve on all 4 cylinders. Also, another interesting thing is this little tube right here. Well, this is what supplies oil to your rocker arm assembly, rocker shaft, whatever you want to call it. That's what supplies the oil to it. There's one on each head. It's just kind of amazing, the technological differences between this engine and more modern stuff. Modern engines don't have this. They don't have this. It's just kind of shows you that, for better or worse, that this was still very much an R&D type of deal. Research and development. They were researching and developing new things to try and make engines better. And these, I don't know much, can't say much about how the reliability of these engines, but personally, there's a whole lot of stuff in here that you don't see in more modern engines, and these didn't tend to last nearly as many hours, really, before they wore out, before they were worn out. Well, let's say for instance with this 5 3/4 inch bore, 8-inch stroke, 831 I think cubic inch 4-cylinder, it runs, I think this one is set for 1250 RPM. Which, with the incredibly big bore, long stroke, it makes more than plenty of power to run this dozer. But, I don't know what a D7, let's see, I think like a D7R had, I think they either had 3176 Caterpillar engine or a 3406 type Caterpillar engine, so it could have been even a C12 and a C15 later on. But yeah, these, they turn way more RPM, have 2 more cylinders. 3176 has less displacement, and 3406 C15 is a little bit more, but not much. So yeah, here I'll show you a finished product real quick. So here you can see our oil tube. As I said, I haven't got it completely connected yet. exhaust valve for number 2 cylinder that was broke. Intake, exhaust intake. Another thing that they improved upon greatly was that they went to a cross-flow head design. Instead of having a water manifold on one side and intake and exhaust on the other, they went to a cross-flow head design, which did, you know, it improves a lot of efficiencies and what have you. But let's see, I don't know if you can see it from this angle or not. So yeah, we got our push rod, this adjuster here, or this adjustable thing here, which I really don't understand, but anyway, I guess it's just there to keep your push rod from flip, or keep your rocker from flipping completely over backwards, basically, if something should happen. But then again, I don't know what the purpose of that is either. You know, they use these studs here. Trying to look through the camera and point at the same time. It's not working out so well. But these studs here are actually what holds the valve cover on. So, you know, plenty of meat there, definitely. Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of running out of things to say. Just really not feeling it today, but I told the guy I would get this thing done as quick as I possibly could. So that means I got to work on it, even though I could have went to church with my family this morning, and I could have went, if I didn't go to church, I could have gone deer hunting. But yeah, so anyway, just me complaining at this point in time, guys. But as I said, we're gonna get somewhere on it today, even if it's not done. So let me go get the rocker shaft, and oh yeah, they do have these caps that go over the valve springs too, that the rocker arm actually acts on. Get it up there, you can see it. So your rocker arm hits on this, pushes your valve down, instead of just being on the valve stem or having a little cap on the valve stem like modern, more modern cat diesels do anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna go get the rocker arm assembly, and we'll get on with it. And excuse the noise, but apparently I've been overrun by chickens. Alright, so, problem. You can see this stud and how much thread it has sticking up versus this one. That is a major problem. We are going to have to loosen that nut, pull the washer, double nut it, and try and tighten that stud down, because it is sitting, or actually it's hitting on this pedestal right here and not letting our valve train sit down right. Hopefully, since this is all new yesterday, we don't disturb anything and have to start over after we put it all back together and put coolant in it and find out it's putting water in the oil. Oh, this should be fun. If it ain't one thing, it's another. Oh well, time to work again. Alright, well, it's a whole lot better. Hopefully it's good enough. I still got to torque it back down, but at least it's contacting the head, and it is not sticking up 1/4 of an inch. So hopefully that'll take care of it. Okay, so hopefully crisis averted here. We'll see. But that looks much better. It actually tightened down right this time. And it's pretty even with, where is it? Oh, this one over here. Okay. So now we got to get our oil lines hooked up and then turn the engine over. It does not have does not have timing marks anywhere other than on the injection pump. And as far as that goes, they specify to adjust the overhead hot and with the engine running. So we're just going to have to do kind of a, not really a rough guesstimate. We can use the right feeler gauges and then go, say, a thousandth or two larger gap, larger valve clearance than what is specified for hot, and then we'll have to warm it up and try that again later just to see what's going on. That's not my favorite way of doing this, but that's pretty much the only thing we can do since they don't give a cold valve lash spec. So on to hooking up these oil lines, and then we will bar the engine over. We'll have to do it 4 times basically so we can get it all correct, and then you know, get them all at top center compression stroke, which I think, well, I'm not so sure now. That one might be on, it might be coming up on compression number 3. But anyway, let me get these oil lines hooked up and we'll get it barred around, and I'll show you how to adjust one valve anyway. Alright, so here we are again. I've got all the valve train in it, and I found number 1 top center compression stroke by just using a zip tie and turning the fan here. And we have no lash, and there should be some. As you can see here, we've got a little bit on that one, but these should be loose right now and they are not. So we're going to do a rough adjustment now, and then we'll, when we get the rest of it put back together, we'll fire it up and fine tune it, get it warm, and then fine tune it. This has turned into way more project than I was really hoping for it to be, but we're getting it. So here we go. Okay, so we've adjusted number 1 here, and at least now we have lash, basically. This is definitely what is known as an interference engine, which means that your valves can contact the piston if something happens. So, but yeah, the bottom of these heads are completely flat, and the piston does come up into, will contact the valves if you do not have the lash set right or something else happens. But at least now, though it may not be 100% correct, we do have valve lash. So now I just got to do the other 3 like that. Since you know, we're not 100% correct because we mixed and matched push rods and what have you, we're just going to have to do this 1 cylinder at a time rather than doing it the other way where you set it number 1 top dead center and then you adjust 1 here, and then roll it around until number 4 is top dead center and adjust, get my fingers out of the way, number 4, and then the opposite valves on 2 and 3. But anyway, time to keep going. Alright, so we've got our valves half-ass adjusted. I say half-ass because apparently we're going to have to warm the thing up before we will have it correct. So we are still in, still we know we're going to have to work on that once we actually start the thing up and let it run for a little bit. So next step is going to be to put the fuel injectors and the glow plugs in, which will have the top of the engine sealed up other than the valve covers, which we'll probably just clean the valve covers and set them on there for now. And yeah, so on to the next step. Alright guys, so here we have, I've replaced the nozzle tips here. This is very simple to do, but you can screw it up. You only tighten these finger tight and more or less just screw it together until it stops, guys. That's it. So yeah, we've got this O-ring here and this one here. This one goes around your barrel nuts, and this one goes around the top of your nozzle. Judging by the looks of these, where the fuel line connects, you can see how that's pitted. You know, that's not a perfect seal, if they were even in there. I don't remember at this point in time. So anyway, now we get to go, and you line these splines up in the pre-combustion chamber in the head, drop it in, get the splines lined up, put this O-ring on your barrel nut, and torque it to the specified torque, which I don't remember what that was. Fuel injection equipment. Let me find this and I'll get back with you. Okay, so it's safe to say that I really do miss my camera, because right there it is, nozzle retaining nut torque, 105 foot-pounds. I was looking through my phone and I couldn't see it, so there we go, 105 foot-pounds. Alright, so before I get too much more carried away here, we've got our injectors, our nozzles in, and the glow plugs in. I'm working at getting the seals in the top right now. It's not proving to be very easy, but I haven't messed with it for that long either. And anyway, we've got these small ports here on this side of the head, and those are coolant ports that need to be blocked off. So as you can see, we've got a gasket in here. It goes on this piece, which is for the throttle lever linkage that goes up to the governor housing. So I've got one gasket, two gasket, three gasket, but I don't have four. And it's Sunday afternoon, so there's not really any place open to go get gasket paper. So just another wrench in the plans here, but still got plenty more to do. So I'm gonna keep plugging at it and we'll see what happens.